Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating, and let's be honest, slightly frustrating story from the battlefields of World War II. It's a classic. Tale of the grass is always greener on the other side, but with a twist, involving some serious German engineering and a whole lot of gasoline. Imagine this. It's the intense fighting after the D-Day landings. Allied troops are pushing through France, and amidst the chaos, they capture all sorts of enemy equipment. For the GIs of the US Army, stumbling upon an abandoned or captured German vehicle was like finding a little piece of treasure. These weren't just trophies, they were potential assets. The American military was a powerhouse of standardization. The M4 Sherman, the M3 half-track, ubiquitous Jeep, they were all designed to be produced in massive numbers, with interchangeable parts and straightforward maintenance. This industrial might was a cornerstone of the Allied war effort. It meant that if your vehicle broke down, chances were you could find parts, or at least a mechanic who knew exactly what to do. But this also meant that, compared to some of the German designs, American vehicles could seem, well, a bit plain. German engineering, on the other hand, often prioritized performance and sophistication, sometimes at the expense of mass production. Think of the Tiger tank, a fearsome beast, but a nightmare to build and maintain. So when a group of American GIs came across a captured German Sd.Kfz 7, you can imagine their excitement. This wasn't just any old truck. The Sd.Kfz 7 was a B-Stan-8 half-track prime mover. It looked powerful, it looked advanced, and it looked like a serious upgrade over their standard M3 half-tracks. The M3 was a workhorse, no doubt about it, carried troops, towed guns, and did just about everything asked of it. But the Sd.Kfz 7, with its more complex suspension and robust appearance, seemed like it was in another league entirely. The GIs probably thought they'd hit the jackpot. Here was a chance to use the enemy's own high-tech gear against them. They could tow their artillery pieces with more style and maybe even more efficiency. It must have felt like a real victory, a tangible sign that they were besting a technologically advanced foe. They wasted no time putting their new prize to work. They likely checked it over, marveled at the German craftsmanship, and hooked it up to one of their artillery pieces. The engine roared to life, and off they went. The initial feeling must have been pure satisfaction. The Sd.Kfz 7 handled the load with ease, its powerful engine and intricate running gear making light work of the rough French terrain. For a short while, they were the envy of their unit, cruising around in this impressive piece of captured German hardware. It was bigger, it seemed tougher, and it probably gave them a bit of a morale boost. They were using the enemy's strength as their own. What could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, something very important and very practical could go wrong. After the initial thrill wore off, and they'd been using the Sd.Kfz 7 for a while, they started noticing something alarming. This German beast was thirsty, incredibly thirsty. They were burning through gasoline at a rate that was completely unsustainable. See, the Allied supply chain, the famous Red Ball Express, was a logistical miracle, but it was stretched to its absolute limit. Every single gallon of fuel was precious, carefully allocated to keep tanks, trucks, and planes moving toward the front. The entire system was built around the known fuel consumption of standardized American vehicles. The M3 half-track, for example, was designed with this logistical reality in mind. It was reasonably fuel efficient for what it was, allowing planners to accurately predict how much fuel a division would need. The Sd.Kfz 7, however, threw a massive wrench into those calculations. It was equipped with a powerful Maybach 6-cylinder gasoline engine, a marvel of engineering designed to haul heavy loads, but it guzzled fuel like there was no tomorrow. The GIs quickly discovered that their prized capture was consuming far more gasoline than their trusty M3 South. Suddenly, their upgrade was becoming a logistical nightmare. Every time they refueled the German tractor, they were taking a disproportionate amount of fuel from the pool, potentially shorting other essential vehicles. The very thing that made the Allied army so effective at standardized, predictable logistics was being compromised by this one very thirsty vehicle. The realization must have dawned on them pretty quickly. This super cool, powerful German half-track was, in the grand scheme of things, a liability. Its superior performance in one area was completely negated by its disastrous performance at the fuel pump. They were part of a massive, interconnected military machine, and this one component was just not compatible. It didn't matter how well it could tow a gun if it ran out of gas halfway to the battle, or if its fuel consumption meant a Sherman tank couldn't get the fuel it needed. In the context of the Allied war machine, efficiency and compatibility were king. The M3 half-track, while perhaps less glamorous, was the right tool for the job because it fit seamlessly into the larger system. It was reliable, easy to fix, and most importantly, it had a predictable and manageable appetite for fuel. And so, the story of the GIs and their captured Sd.Kfz came to an unceremonious end. After wrestling with its voracious fuel consumption, they made the only logical choice. They abandoned it. They simply parked the impressive German machine by the side of the road and went back to their familiar, reliable, and fuel-efficient M3 half-tracks. It's a perfect small-scale illustration of a much larger strategic truth of World War II. The war wasn't just won by the best tanks or the fastest planes. It was won by logistics. It was won by the ability to supply troops with food, ammunition, and crucially, fuel. The Germans built magnificent, technologically advanced machines, but they often couldn't produce or supply them in the numbers required. The Allies, on the other hand, built good enough equipment in staggering quantities, and most importantly, figured out how to keep it all running. This little anecdote serves as a powerful reminder that in warfare, the coolest piece of tech isn't always the most effective. Practicality, reliability, and how a vehicle fits into the overall logistical picture are what truly matter. The GIs learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes the boring standard issue equipment is the best tool for winning a war. That thirsty Sd.Kfz-7 was a marvel of engineering. But for the GIs fighting their way across Europe, it was little more than a gas-guzzling headache. They were better off with the tried-and-true American iron they knew and trusted. What a great story, right? It just goes to show you that there is always more to the story than just horsepower and armor thickness. Thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this little dive into military history and logistics, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Let me know in the comments if you've heard any similar anecdotes. We'll see you in the next one.